Bill King joins us on halftime. Morning host, Nashville Sports Radio, 6 to 9. He is the king of college football talk, and we always appreciate the time that he gives us on Wednesdays. Bill, it's poll season now, and it's the poll that matters, And I listen to you sometimes. I don't care about AP. I don't care about coaches poll. Drew and I were talking about that earlier this week because the only one that matters is the College Football Playoff Committee rankings. And yet, I know you're still somebody that would like to see going back to something like the BCS days, in which we would get angry at computers and the voters too. But there's so much outrage that gets thrown around whenever the rankings come out. And it doesn't matter what the rankings are. Everybody knows somebody who thinks that the voters are really stupid and have no clue what they're talking about. But then again, when I see Michigan ranked ahead of Michigan State, I might agree with them.
Yeah, head-to-head is important, but it's not the end-all. And we already knew that. That's not new. Again, we had a Penn State-Ohio State situation in 16. Not exactly the same, but a head-to-head nonetheless. And Ohio State went to the playoffs, and Penn State went to the Rose Bowl. We already know that. I hate to blow it for you, but I don't watch the show.
I don't either.
I don't either. Until the last one. I literally, guys, I don't even know it's on. That day I know it's going to be on. By the time I get to 7 o'clock or whenever it is, I'm not even thinking about it. I'll see the Twitter reaction, and I'll see what the standings look like. Just, you can't miss it. And then I'll look at it before the show. But I don't even watch. I don't want to hear from the committee members. I don't want to hear somebody's TV opinion of it.
Well, you mentioned the standings there, and one thing that we noticed, I forget who it was that sent us the scenarios. We had a listener text us scenarios.
Oh, I screenshot. I still got a picture of it. Give me a second.
It's 6 out of the 7 teams, right, in the SEC West?
Yes, 6 out of the 7 teams could tie for first place. If Arkansas and State win out, Bama loses to Arkansas and Auburn. Auburn loses to South Carolina. A&M loses to Ole Miss. And Ole Miss loses to Mississippi State. All 6 teams would have a 5-3 SEC record.
That's so crazy. But the thing is, you need Alabama to lose twice. What reality does that happen?
It's very unlikely. Now, they did not play well in that LSU game, particularly offensively. 6 yards rushing. I didn't know that was possible for an Alabama team. Their offensive line has been a struggle. And I think that they think that's not going to fix. That's not going to get remedied this year. They're going to just have to play with that weakness, and the quarterback's going to have to be nimble, and they're going to have to throw it a lot. And then maybe that loosens up the run. But that last look, I can't unsee for Alabama. And I know that sometimes you have one of those days, but that team right there is not beating Georgia. I know that.
No, I know that for a fact. And that's been the weird thing about this week is, obviously Arkansas plays LSU, is trying to figure out how good LSU actually is. Because on one hand, they did go toe-to-toe with Alabama. On the other hand, they have over 12 starters out with injury, and they're having a hard time having enough bodies to put jerseys on. How good or bad is LSU, and has it really just been changing from week to week?
Yes. You really don't know what you're about to get. You truly, when you play LSU, do not know what's about to show up against you. They got plenty of athletes to play very well and ruin your night. And they also have a bunch of coaches and players that some nights don't look like they're playing particularly hard. And I don't know if they just got up for Alabama. Well, they probably did. That brand got them up. You've got a big rivalry between the two. And Alabama is, ranked right at the top. So I would say that's the motivation, is your pride. Mm-hmm. What's Arkansas going to get here? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they get a really sloppy LSU performance.
Well, I think most people in this state and most Arkansas fans would really hope that that's what happens, especially when you're playing under the lights at Death Valley in Baton Rouge. Bill, do you have a good LSU story? A good fan story where you've seen in person?
Well, yeah, I've been on a bus broadcasting in the early 90s. We were down there to do actually it was the Vanderbilt LSU game. And the fans were like, now this is Vanderbilt game, right?
I was about to
fans
say.
are lined up on each side of our bus, and I'm looking in their eyes, and their eyes are bloodshot, and it's a mean drunk. It's not a happy drunk. It's a violent drunk. And they're literally shaking the bus back and forth. I mean, it's coming a little bit up off the wheels there. And I just remember I would look in the eyes of just random people, and every one of them had this same, monotone voice, death stare. And they weren't kidding. They were not kidding at all. And what was shocking, that was a Saturday night, though. When LSU is not very good, Death Valley has lots of empty seats on a Saturday night. And I've witnessed this. And I'm just wondering if that's going to be the case, which, again, if you're an Arkansas fan, you would want that.
Oh, no doubt about that. More seats to buy, perhaps, if you want to show up there and have a little fun with them. That's the way I'd look at it. Bill, we here in Arkansas feel very lucky right now to have such a great young backfield. And I don't know how much you've had a chance to watch Dominique Johnson and Rocket Sanders do their thing, along with KJ Jefferson. I think that's worth it. And so, I mean, at those two positions, Arkansas is incredibly strong. And honestly, I don't know another backfield that may be more versatile than these kids. What have you liked when you've watched these two that I mentioned, Johnson and Sanders?
Right, love it. Now, a couple of things, guys. You've got that massive quarterback who's athletic, who takes some pressure off of you, and the offensive line has been solid, rock solid. And that all feeds off of each other. And you got to remember, Alabama's thinned out. Their best running back's out for the year. And they've thinned out to the point where they're razor thin. The other thing is you're talking about two excellent backs. And you really need four. Now, you don't play four, but you need four because those guys get banged up. But, no, I'm impressed. When I watch Arkansas guys, and I watch them feed the tailbacks, or I watch the quarterback keeper, or I watch a dominant receiver, they've got probably as much balance as anybody right now in the league. They're not, obviously, we know they're not as good as Georgia overall, but that's about as balanced as we've got in this league now that you think about it.
All right, the last thing I want to touch on. Today is the 2-year anniversary of the firing of Chad Morris here at Arkansas. It's amazing to see how different things are 2 years later. But when he was hired, there might have been a few people that came out of the woodwork and are saying, I don't know if he's got the qualifications for this. I don't like this. A lot of people said this is a good hire, right? With the benefit of foresight, of hindsight, obviously, it wasn't a good hire. So when you look back and you've got great knowledge of the history of the SEC, what coach or a couple of coaches stand out as coaches when you look back on on what they did were so overmatched, but it was difficult to tell when they were hired?
Wow. Derek Dooley is somewhat recent. Mm-hmm. They panicked there, and they hired a guy who had been with Nick a little bit and had a really good last name, and he was overmatched. I mean, you could tell, and he was also his press conferences turned into psychosis. It was just crazy. Some of the things he said. That would be one. Probably Ron Zook, and I like Ron Zook's one of my boys, but they panicked at Florida when Spurrier stepped aside to go to the Redskins. And Zook had been maybe a part-time defensive coordinator, special teams guy. You could tell he was overmatched. Mike Shula at Alabama is another one. I saw Mike Shula, and again, he got hired strictly because of a last name. They hired him because of the $10 million lap dance. They had to do something fast, and it was odd timing. But I was at Hoover for the SEC meetings, his first year. And everybody knows there's that main floor in the hotel lobby, and then there's a long hallway that goes to the mall. But then there's an escalator that goes straight up right from that hotel lobby. He must have arrived at a back door or something and came in, so he didn't have to go through a crowd. I saw him stand at the top of that escalator looking into the lobby at all those Alabama fans, and I thought he was going to faint. I swear to you guys, I thought he was going to pass out right there and just roll down that escalator. He looked like he had seen a ghost. That'd be another one that just comes to mind. I'm sure there are more, but...
Well, Chad Morris is the latest of them on that list. That's for certain. All right, and right now he looks like he might be a little overmatched for the high school job he's got. Hey, Bill, appreciate you.
Yep.
Enjoy the weekend of football. Always
Okay,
appreciate
guys.
your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Bill.
Bill King, Nashville Sports Radio.
We're back and better than ever. A new web interface to start the basketball season and more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all basketball and football action this season. Head to the new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE50 to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV 50 to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, and baseball postseason, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.